the first couple days of camp are always exciting, especially when you're with a new team. Still trying to learn the layout of the clubhouse here, the format, and just trying to get to know my teammates. So I'm grabbing one or two guys a day and trying to dive into them a little bit more and get to know them, and just try to do it like that rather than get a little bit from everybody every day and end up asking the same guys the same questions as we go through camp. I'm really trying to take my time meeting these guys.
Yeah, Yu Darvish said that he worked with you a little bit the other day.
Mm-hmm.
What's it been like getting to know him a little, and what's the value of having a pitcher like him in the rotation? Can you see yourself bouncing stuff off of him as time goes on, just the experience and the pitches that he has?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm a guy as well that has multiple pitches. I mean, he's got a handful more than me, and I thought I had a lot. But I'm throwing 6 pitches, and you tend to, some stay real strong, some start to fade throughout the season. So being able to talk to him and find out what he's doing to manage, 8, 9 pitches that he has and how he keeps all of them sharp from outing to outing is one of the biggest things I'm trying to pull from him. But his experience, man, he's been around so long. He's played on the big league, the World Series stage. He's bounced around a couple of organizations, so he knows what it's like to be the new guy in a clubhouse. So me and him kind of have that in common. And I've seen him play a lot. When I was with Houston, I played against him in LA. When I was with Pittsburgh, I played against him a ton in Chicago. So we've watched each other from afar for quite some time now. But it's nice to be in the same clubhouse and be able to get that one-on-one with him.
Yeah, he said he's going to learn from you too. So
Yeah.
that's good to see that going on. But last one, as you go from 60 to 162, what are some of the concerns that you have as a pitcher? And is there anything that you'll change this spring training or be just more intentional or aware of as you try to ramp your arm up for that?
I think you said it right there, just how I'm ramping the arm up. I prepared very similar to how I would for a normal season. I really work on conditioning really heavy in the off season. The endurance of a starter is really important. And, you look at not only going from 60 to 162, but being with a team like this, we expect to go deep into the postseason and be playing, that final week of baseball. So it's quite a task that we have ahead of us, but everyone's in the same boat. So for me, it's just gauging myself in these first couple bullpens. It's hard to come into a new organization and not want to make a real strong first impression, but I'm trying to stick to what I know and what I know is going to get me right and keep me right for the year. So really easing my way into these bullpens. I threw about 7 or 8 bullpens before I came to spring. After the trade, I was able to spend my last couple weeks at Petco working with Nola and Campy and some of the PTs. So I got to know those guys a little bit, which was nice, getting to work with the catchers a little bit before I show up. But really just taking my time with these first couple pins. And like I said, it's easy to come in and want to let it rip and show your best breaking balls on the first day. But, I tried to stay fastball changeup. I spun a couple at the end of my bullpen the other day. I'll have my second one tomorrow and then hopefully get into some lives here. But just trying to really gauge the intensity and make sure that we're peaking at the right times.
I appreciate it, Joe. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll go to Jorge.
Hi, Joe. What is meant to you? The fans will be out in the Padres home games in spring training.
I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit. Say that one more time.
What it means to you? The fans can get in the Padres home games in the spring training.
You said the fans can get in? Yeah, well. It's extremely exciting. I mean, a big piece of the enjoyment that we get as players is being able to, to put on a show for the fans. And a lot of what drives us and brings out the best in us is a stadium full of people cheering for us and supporting us. And I know being from San Diego that, the fans in this organization have waited a long time for us to be in this situation. So, it's exciting for me personally. I grew up a Padres fan and, even though I've been with other organizations, I've always watched the Padres from afar, and I get daily updates from my dad back home who still watches every single night, watches a Padre game. So it's extremely exciting, and I'm really happy for the fans to be able to share some of the enjoyment with us.
And if I may, your family try to go to Petco Park this regular season, or it just keep waiting the instruction about the
Your family be coming down to the ballpark until we find out what's going to happen with fans? Yeah, I think they have to have every expectation of coming to games if they are allowed to. My sister's she works at Costco, and she sets a schedule, so she gets a little bit of freedom to kind of pick her off days where she wants. So she's real religious about sitting down at the start of the calendar year and looking at our schedule and marking out which road trip she wants to make. When I was in Pittsburgh, obviously I had to fly out there for home games, but being in San Diego now, they'll be there a lot more often than they have in the past. But they like to go to road games, and that's where I like to have them. When we're on the road, it's nice to be able to have something to do in a city that you're not familiar. Take your family out and go enjoy things together for the first time. So, I've been to every ballpark now, but being in a new division, getting to visit some of these places more often, I'll get a chance to really dive into each of those cities. So they plan on making it out to games. Both my grandmothers haven't been able to see me play in person other than the few games that we've had in San Diego. So that's what I think I'm most excited about, is that they'll be able to come to all the home games and watch me pitch like they did when I was in high school. So
We'll go to Bernie.
Hey, Joe, how you doing?
good. How you doing?
Good, thanks. Hey, is it sinking in yet that you're going to be pitching for your hometown team?
Yeah, man. I think putting on that jersey for the first time the other day was pretty special, and just hearing all the feedback from my family and friends about how good it is to see me in a Padres uniform, and they've all supported me nonstop regardless of where I've been. But the sport feels different now that I'm wearing a jersey that everyone actually wants to support, and not that they're just supporting because I'm playing there. So yeah, I'm sure once I get into the stadium and I hear my walk-up music in a home stadium. I listen to Tribal Seeds. That's been my walk-up music since I got into professional baseball in their group out of San Diego. I'm really close with Tony Ray, who's in that band, and just being able to hear that play in a home stadium in San Diego in a Padres uniform with my family and friends in the stands is going to be really exciting. So it hasn't hit me 100% yet, but I don't know when it's going to ever stop. I think every time I'm experiencing something new for the first time in San Diego, I'm going to get that feeling.
Do you like the brown better than the blue?
Dude, my favorite Padres uniforms were the blue and orange.
Okay.
But now that I've gotten to put the brown and yellow on a little bit, I'm a big fan of it. Yeah, I like it a lot.
All right. Last question. Did you ever get a pitch at Petco with Grossmont in any of those high school series?
No, we had our CIF championship games were at Tony Gwynn Stadium at SDSU. So I never got to play in like the Aflac or any of that stuff at Petco, but I got to go on the field for the first time at Qualcomm when I was real young. I played with San Diego Stars travel baseball team out of San Diego, and we got to, after we won our national championship in Cooperstown, we got to come back and take a little infield outfield on the field before one of the games at Qualcomm. So that was the closest I had gotten to that stadium until then. And then I played in the Futures game there in 16. I started that game, so that was my first time pitching in Petco.
All right. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll go to AJ.
Joe, what do you remember from the first time Tatis tagged up on an infield pop-up? You were on the other side of it, and what was your kind of reaction to it then?
Dude, I mean, I kind of anticipated it. It sounds like I'm lying to you, but I'd watched him play, man, and he was a guy that reminded me a lot of like how Harper was when he first came up into the game. Wanted to make an impression and was flying all over the field. A guy that's aggressive and looking to take an extra 90 feet whenever he could. But I mean, being on the other side of that, it was hard to watch, I guess. But he's fun to watch play, man. I mean, I think any big league player, you understand how hard it is to get here and how hard it is to be successful at this level. So watching a kid that's 22 years old doing it like he's been doing it for 10 plus years is extremely impressive. I'm just glad to be on the same side as him now.
Separately, how do you envision this transition from 60 to 162 to look like logistically for you guys? I mean, it seems like they're going to be pretty cautious with the workload early in the year. How do you envision it potentially playing out so that you are fresh for later in the season? Yeah,
I think it's accountability. All of us, we had a talk with Jace the first day, and he just stressed the importance of the season's going to fall and depend on the starting pitching. And we got to hold each other accountable. We got to do our jobs by not only doing our job on the field and performing, but being in the weight room, being in the training room, getting in the cold tubs. All these things that are going to help us stay healthy throughout the season. I don't think anyone's had to jump from 60 to 162 plus. So everyone's going to be experiencing things for the first time, but it's going to be a lot of communication. Understanding your arm and your body and taking days when you need to take them. Getting in the training room and working with the trainers. These guys, I mean, it's the first 2 weeks that I spent with them in San Diego at Petco before we came here. It was unbelievable to see how invested they were in us as players and making sure that we had everything we need. And, to see those guys be outnumbered 8-1 in camp, and for them to be able to still get everyone taken care of and get the guys the work they need, it just shows how invested they are and how hard they're working for us. So I'd really tip my cap to the guys that are in the training room.
Go to Kevin.
Joe, how much have you worked with the new ball, and what are your thoughts? Think there'll be a difference?
I don't even know if we had it. I didn't even know we had a new ball. I saw that there was a post about deadening the ball a little bit maybe, but I haven't really noticed anything. I don't know if they've already put them into the rotation with our stuff, but if they have, I haven't really noticed a big difference. I mean, I'm a fan of it, I guess, if if you ask me. But I don't know, man. I mean, everyone's playing with the same ball, so it's not like it's lopsided for one team over another. So
We'll go to Marty.
Hi, Joe. Did you pick the 44 because of Jake Peavy?
I did. 59 was a number that I was just given when I came up to the big leagues. And me and my dad had always talked about how cool it would be just to have a big league uniform, and be in a big league clubhouse and have a locker, and just super grateful to even be in the big leagues and have a number. And when I got up, there wasn't very many 59s around the league that that were well known. So I kind of saw it as my chance to make that number something special, and be the guy that's known for wearing number 59. And when I came over to San Diego, I know Paddock had the number, and I mean, the numbers are just numbers to me. It was something that I had cool with my last name. I had worked the 5'9" in as the SG in Musgrove, but coming to San Diego, a chance to wear 44 and represent, a little nod to Jake Peavy, who was my favorite pitcher growing up. The guy that I watched, and just how not only the way he pitched and performed, but just who he was and the way that he carried himself on the field. I was a very emotional and energetic player as a kid, and my dad really instilled in me to be respectful and to not show up your opponents and just play the game the right way. And I always kind of wanted to let a little bit more out than he wanted me to. And going to Padre games and seeing Peavy, snot flying and grunting and fist bumping, that was just kind of who I felt I was as a player. And seeing a big leaguer at that time doing the same thing kind of gave me the confidence to go out there and be myself and play the game I wanted to. So it's pretty special for me to wear 44, and I know there's a lot of expectations with it, and I got to do the number right. So I'm gonna do everything I can.
I'm so sorry.
That's all right. That's all right.
Speaking of PV, I mean,
what's up, buddy?
Padres had to move him because of cost cutting. Did you ever think to be a part of a Padres team that is spending the way they have, especially with this latest with Tatis?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I kind of lost you a little bit there, but I think I got it. Yeah, I mean, these jobs that these GMs have is not easy. You got to look to build a team that's going to be sustainable and a team that can be good for a while. Everyone wants to win a World Series, but you win one World Series and then you're irrelevant for the next 15 years. I think that, there's not much good about that. So, seeing what they did, when I went to Houston in 2012, we were the worst team in baseball. And in the matter of 5 years, we win the World Series. So I got to see the transition of that league and how they traded for the right guys and moved guys around, drafted right, changed the entire construction of the minor leagues and how they were teaching their guys coming up when it came to throwing programs and recovery and arm care stuff. Just a complete flip in the organization. And I feel like I've been watching from afar. Obviously I haven't been inside and seen the workings from the inside, but it seems like something very similar has been going on here. And over the last couple of years, me and my dad still talk like we're Padres fans. So he's always, hitting me up saying, "Do you see this latest move? What do you think of this? What do you think of this?" So it's exciting. And I mean, this is kind of what you want. You put yourself in a situation to where, they felt like last offseason they were missing one piece and it was starting pitching. And then to see them go out and make those moves and bring the guys in, I mean, there's no excuse now. We got all the pieces we need here to win. Now it's just about us going out and doing it.
Go to Dennis.
Hey, Joe, as a National League pitcher, how did you enjoy not having to hit for yourself last season, and how do you feel about the likelihood that you will have to, again this season?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up a baseball player, man. I didn't really start pitching until high school, so I always considered myself a pretty good hitter. I love running the bases. I love just being involved in the game. I kind of see myself as an old school player. I don't see myself as just a pitcher, and we get to play once every 5 days. So when I'm on the field, I'm trying to do as much as I can to help a team win. So I was kind of bummed out about not getting to do it last year. I feel like I had, 2 seasons of hitting under my belt, and I was starting to get a feel back for what it felt like to see live pitching, and not just live pitching, but, the best pitching you're going to see in the world. So I felt like I was getting a little bit sharper, and then having that taken away was kind of a bummer. But, there's pros and cons to it. As in the National League, when you have to hit as a pitcher, that 4th, 5th inning comes around and your spot in the lineup's coming up and it's a tie game with 2 runners on, the odds of you getting to stay in there and hit and continue to pitch and get your 5, 6, 7 innings in, becomes less likely now that we didn't have to worry about that last year. I had a chance to go out there and just pitch, and, I found myself going deeper into games more often, not having to worry about pinch hitting or, someone taking my spot. So there's positives to both sides of it, but I've always enjoyed National League Baseball because it's your best 9 versus our best 9, and if you have a pitcher that can swing the bat well and get his bunts down and can run a little bit, that's an advantage that you have as a player or as a team. So I've always enjoyed being able to hit, and working here the last couple of days, seeing the importance that they put on pitchers knowing how to bunt, how to run bases, making sure that we're getting dialed in with our swings. I feel like we can really take advantage of some other teams in that area. So.
Since the trade, have you envisioned yourself going yard at Petco in front of your family?
I would love my first one to be at Petco. Second deck at Western Meadow, maybe.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Got time for a couple more. We'll go to David with Fangraphs.
Hey, Joe. Apologies if you were asked this earlier because I just joined in. But I was looking at your StatCast numbers, and what really stood out to me is that the spin on your breaking balls on both of them, the slider and curveball, went up quite a bit last year. Exactly how and why did that happen?
That's a good question. The honest answer, I don't know. I'm not really a big analytical guy. I'm not big on the Rapsodo numbers, and I look at that information more so as a benchmark. When I have real strong outings or when I have real poor outings, I look at the numbers and I'll see where it's at when I'm real good and where it's at when I'm poor, and that just kind of gives me an idea of what a rough benchmark of what my numbers should be like and what I want to see them like. But by no means am I going home and saying I need to get 200 more spin, 200 more RPM on my curveball, or I need to change the spin axis or the direction of this pitch this way. I kind of let our analytical guys coach me up a little bit on that, and offer suggestions where they can. But I've always been big on movement, feel, repeatability. And I feel like the consistent, change that we saw last year was more so me just having a really good feel for my delivery and being able to repeat and be more consistent, and the timing of it was right. You'll see plenty of pitchers throughout the course of the season have starts where they're 90, 91, and then they'll have a start where they're 95, 96. And a lot of times it's not like they did much different. Their timing's just, more on. They're timing things up better. It's allowing them to exert their power later in the delivery. And those things kind of just are secondary that come with, a more efficient delivery. So I did change my arm action at the end of 19. And it was nothing more than just watching guys like Bieber and Bauer and guys Giolito that were a little more consistent with their stuff in the zone than I was, and seemed like they were just in really good positions with every pitch. So started watching those guys and just trying to, I've always had a good ability of watching somebody move and doing something and being able to just to repeat that movement myself. So I started doing that, and I saw my numbers jump up and increase. So it seemed like something that was working for me in a positive way. So I went into the off season and really tried to just get more efficient with the way, the arm path that I was taking out of my glove. And I think the spin rates and the action on the pitches was kind of something that just came secondary from it.
Thanks, Joe.
We'll go to Annie.
Hey, Joe, just one more question. I'm curious if you have any thoughts on the demolition of Qualcomm Stadium or Jack Murphy Stadium, or the stadium that you grew up in.
Yeah, we were just talking about that in the clubhouse. It's sad to see it go. That was the very first stadium that I went to my first Chargers game at. I went to my first Padre game. Got my first baseball from a major league game. Got on the Jumbotron for the first time. There's a lot of cool memories as a kid, and the tailgates in that lot. Going to watch San Diego State football games. Just a lot of cool memories from that place. But I know the plans that they have. I kind of saw some of the layout for building that new stadium and the little city kind of within that lot. It's really cool. But yeah, it's really sad to see that go. That was like a landmark in San Diego. But yeah, I mean, it's a bummer.
Thanks.
Last one will go to Derek.
Hey, Joe, I see you're wearing the Project 34 shirt there from Trevor. I
Yes.
wanted to ask something kind of along those lines. You worked with Landis Sims over the
Yeah.
offseason. Can you an amazing story what this young man has? Can you kind of tell me what was that interaction like with him? What were you able to work with him about? And do you think that he has the ability to make that high school team?
Yeah, a big shout out to Eric Cochran, who's a producer of a lot of different documentaries. Some Nat Geo stuff, some baseball related stuff, and sports stuff. But I met him a handful of years ago when I was with Houston. He was working on a little project covering the Astros, and we stayed in touch over the years. And he hit me up this offseason and said, "Hey, I got this kid that I think you would love to meet, and I would love for you to just talk to him. And I think that." Your mentality and the way that you approach life and approach the game would really rub off on him in a good way. So I didn't know anything about Landis. He sent me a link to the documentary that he's working on right now, and I did a little research of my own on him. And he came out to San Diego before I came out here to spring, and we got to work with him. Everything from just playing catch to he wants to be a second baseman, so. We kind of worked all the things that a second baseman at the high school level would need to know, how to turn double plays, proper footwork. And I mean, that kid is the best possible example of, someone that has mental toughness and fortitude to be able to get over any obstacle. That he's faced so many different things and issues in his life, and he's found ways to make them work. He just adapts to whatever situation he's in. And I feel like I took more away from that day than he did. I mean, I felt there leaving. I left there feeling like a different person. And the one thing that I stressed on him was that life rewards those who start. And, you can't be afraid to take chances. You're going to fail, and you're going to fail a lot more than you're successful sometimes. But, those that are afraid to actually start and give things a chance, will never be able to find out what they're capable of. And, they're all things that I don't think, he's never heard. He's obviously found these things out on his own, and he's adapted and found ways to do everything in life that your average person can do. So it really touched my heart to work with him and just see his parents even, the way that they care for him and all the effort and time that they've put into making sure that he has every chance to achieve what he wants to achieve in life was really special. So another thing about coming to San Diego is really cool that Challenge Athlete Foundation is based out of San Diego, and I'll be able to do a lot more work with them now throughout the year. And I really hope to be able to stay in touch with Landis, as he goes into this high school journey.